Hello, this is Barbara Ann Fuller with Focus on You Now. And my company does coaching and consulting, specifically for small businesses. We specialize in that area. One of the things that I have noticed with my clients, and they range anywhere from an optometrist office, a small staff, all the way to a Christian wellness center. And the Christian Wellness Center wanted to add some other streams of income, same as with the optometrist. What I find is that my clients sometimes are absolutely overwhelmed with utilizing the Internet. And what I'm always looking for in my network is somebody that can talk in layman's terms to them to help them to understand how they can get themselves on the Internet or whether they need to be on the Internet. And once they're there, how do they utilize it to make another stream of income? In other words, become profitable. So I looked through my network, and the person that I thought of that could, be the technical and also be the person that could make it make sense to my clients, and that was Greg Burrus. And that's who I have today for us to talk with. Greg?
Good afternoon, Barbara. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here, and I'm loving the subject that you're talking about, of course.
Okay. So you help people get themselves, or small, is it more or less small businesses that you help to get on the Internet?
Yes, I have a big, extensive corporate background from many years past working with large corporations. And then I moved into the small business arena, helping the solo entrepreneurs, the individual person who's usually in charge of the technology for a company, or in a lot of cases, just the person who's running the company, help them get their business profitable on the web.
Okay, so let's get started. So what are the types of questions you ask to get someone started?
Yeah, in order to get people started, generally speaking, people are thinking much more technical, much more arcane, much more difficult things. But in reality, we're really starting with what is your mission? What exists, or what is your primary site if you have one? Things like what's your objective, and developing a proposal to ensure we understand where the person is going. And then what we do is we sell on an immediate set of goals, the things that can be done right away to get them up and running so that they get a good feel of where they're headed.
Okay. Okay, so what's the approach you proposed if one of our listeners wants to get started today?
Oh, okay. So essentially what we do, to sort of explain it at our higher level, it's like a four-step approach. We develop what's called like a hub-and-spoke technology infrastructure, and that essentially is where they're going to start from. And then we create a process to incorporate what a lot of people like, which is a no-selling program, so it's more of an attraction program. Then in step 3, we develop a process to put the program on some level of automation, because everybody's busy. And then really we go into a monitor, maintain, expand, and sort of influence mode to make sure they keep operating.
Okay. Well, that sounds a little complex. Could you expand and then summarize what you're saying?
Yeah. In the hub-and-spoke technology infrastructure, which is really step 1, think of it as like the foundation and the basic building blocks of a platform. So essentially this is like the nerve center, which you have people call a website or a blog site, and it's really where the world will come to find you. So your business may be local, but in reality, the people who can buy from you or help you could be national or international. So you need a place on the Internet, it's virtual real estate, that people can come find you. Then in step 2, where we say to create a process to incorporate a no selling, We're really talking about setting up the basis or the foundation of the process associated with the technology in step one. So you can have all this wonderful technical equipment, but the reality is, what are you going to do on a day-to-day basis? And if you're like a lot of people, you really don't want to be selling and hawking stuff, we help you set up what's called an attraction marketing program, where you will actually get people to come find you. And we help you in this step. What are the tools, procedures, and techniques you need to put out there on the internet to help people find you? So then we move into step three, which is about making sure that the foundation that you set up in step one technically and the basis of how you're going to operate in step two, how that works on a day-to-day basis. Well, step three is about setting up the automation, making sure a lot of those things run in an automated fashion so that they keep running. We could almost say somewhat on autopilot while you go about doing the more profitable activities that bring revenue into your business. And then in step four, it's all about maintenance and monitoring to make sure that what you set up in step 1, 2, and 3 is continually growing and expanding as you run through your business.
Okay. So I was taking a few notes when you were saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first step, I drew a circle with a bigger circle around it. So it's and the spoke. So that's that hub and spoke. That's that basic infrastructure. Then you talked about attraction, and then step 3 was it's basically making it repeatable and making it, like you said, on autopilot. And then 4 is just maintenance and monitoring, and then going back and figuring out whether you need to tweak anything. So that's a powerful approach, and it sounds like an extensive process and a kind of a lot to take on. So now the question that everybody sure is thinking about, sounds good, but how expensive is it, and how does somebody handle paying for that?
Yeah, well, the way we look at it is it's an investment in your business. So once you understand that the web is very powerful, the internet is there. There's people on, like if you take MySpace or Facebook, you have the ability to potentially reach what would be the equivalent of 10 of the largest countries in the world. Well, they're all sitting there, 230 million, 300 million people on a Facebook or a MySpace, and the internet is infinitely larger than that. So once you understand the power of what you would be investing in and it makes sense to you, then what we do is we try to make it affordable regardless of where you're at in your business model, whether you're a large or a small company, and we break it into investments, I'll say, almost associated with each step. So like your foundation has a certain cost to it, and then the attraction marketing has a certain investment for it. So we make it affordable depending on what your goals are. So some people will start with a slice of each of the 4 steps. Others may say, well, I want the premium platform in the beginning, and then I'll pick up on doing some of the attraction marketing. So what we try to do is just work out a pricing structure that meets the need of the individual depending on the level they're starting at.
Okay. So it sounds like the approach would allow somebody to be customizable and, is tailored for them. And so it's not just a one-size-fits-all, because we know it doesn't. Well, that's great. Okay. So that's great information and very enlightening. So where can our listeners go to learn more?
Well, there's a few ways to contact me to figure out how you want to get started. Of course, they can come to your site and find you at Focus on You Now, which I always would recommend for your listeners. But I'm also on Skype because I believe in getting personal. So you can go to Skype and search for Greg Burrus, G-R-E-G, B-U-R-R-U-S, and we can start talking. If you're out and about, you can call me at 973-954-4042. And if you're still in the stage where you're still investigating, trying to understand what it's all about, I do suggest that you go to SuccessIsMandatoryToday.com, and that's SuccessIsMandatory today, TODAY.com, and just click the join button, pop on inside, and start taking advantage of some of the resources that we have available. Bottom line, I try to set it up so that you find us your way and see what's available and come familiar.
Okay. All right. So you have several ways for people to get in contact with you, Skype, yes, or the phone number that you gave, or your SuccessIsMandatoryToday.com. Okay. So I think that is great. Again, thank you so much. For our listeners, this is Barbara Ann Fuller for Focus on You Now, coaching and consulting, specializing in small businesses. And as Greg stated, you can contact me at www.focusonyou.com. That is spelled out FOCUS on ONYOU now NOW.com. FocusOnYouNow.com. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.